7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
This is Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano, the podcast where back of house Sally and front of house Marco talk food and drink. Heads up, these two spent decades in restaurants, so some mature content and language is bound to come up. Get ready for Eat and Drink. Forks up.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I was talking to you.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm the only guy here. But we have a microphone in front of us, so I thought maybe you're talking to the hundreds? Thousands, perhaps, of listeners who are out there waiting to be entertained in the world of eating and drinking. You're listening to Marco Timpano over there.
And you're listening to Ali Hassan over there.
Good episode.
This
fun.
is...
It's fresh.
Yeah.
I'm not hungover, which is good.
No, it's great. It's great not to do an episode where we're not hungover. This is Eat and Drink. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends about us. I'm going to start off because I start off with a cocktail. That's how I started off.
I feel like you started off by saying thank you for listening to all your friends to us.
Oh, maybe I did.
I think you just said that.
Thank you for listening, period.
Period, full stop.
And then tell your friends about us.
Yes.
There you go.
Oh, just a mesh, huh? Just a mesh.
Mishmash.
Like some of the dishes I make. It's a melange. That was a melange.
Oh, I like that. Is that what melange means in French?
A mix.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Are you really...
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Have you never heard of the melange à trois?
No.
Because that doesn't
This
exist.
doesn't
I just
exist.
made that up.
A mix of three.
It's a menage à trois.
Okay. All right. Last week, okay, I got a lot of places to go with this cocktail. All right,
Okay.
we're gonna really weave our way melangely.
Yeah.
In this.
All right, sure, man.
In this.
That's you do you. I'm excited for this because one of your ingredients on your tray of drinks is in a velour, velvet bag.
Yeah, my purple bag.
I love it.
All
I
right.
love that bag. I'll tell you a story about that bag.
Oh, I
as
love
well.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get to that. We'll take
Yeah.
a picture of that. We'll send it. Last week we used an Amato. I told everyone an Amato is an Italian herbal liquor that is used as a digestive. It's usually bittersweet in flavor, and it can be syrupy. Some people describe it as syrupy. I never do. Its alcohol content can be between 16 and 40%. We're using Fernet Branca, which has a alcohol percentage of 39%. I also mentioned that Amaros, which means bitter, these digestives, can be found in other varieties in other parts of the world.
I didn't catch that last time,
Okay.
that Amaro means bitter.
Yeah.
It's from the word amer, which is also bitter. Not from the word, but
Right.
also amer also means bitter.
Oh, in what language? Sorry.
That's Spanish, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amarena, amer. Sure, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I can only speak confidently and say Amaro means bitter in Italian. And then in Germany, they have things like Krauterlikör. You also...
What'd you call me, bro?
I called you a Krauterlikör. Hungary, Netherlands, France, they all have these digestive bitter liquors, but only the Italian ones can be called Amaro because Amaro, like I said, means...
How do you say the sea in Italian?
Mare, il mare.
Do you think that it's related?
No.
Okay.
It's a totally different word. It might sound similar, but it's not.
If you're a linguist, please write in if I was onto something.
No,
there.
he's not. I actually studied linguistics. That was my major.
Unbelievable. No, he's not.
But I want to say this. I'm glad you brought up that point because Amaro does not mean amaretto, which we had in previous episodes, which is a liquor that's derived from the seed, when you break open the seed of an apricot, there's a little almondy type thing, and they'll make it from that. That's amaretto. It's sweet. It's not an Amaro. Amaretto, like the amaretti cookies, that's a whole different thing. As well, Amarone is a red wine. So when I tell people to go buy Amaros, I don't want them to accidentally buy Amarones, which are very expensive red wines, delicious and wonderful, or Amaretto, which is a sweet liquor.
Sounds like a win-win, though. If you make that mistake, you haven't really made a mistake. You've still got some nice stuff, but you're not going to be able to make the recipes.
Right. I love Amaros. Do you like Amaros, the actual... Amarone. Do you like Amarone wines?
I'm not familiar with them at all.
Okay. So stay tuned because coming up this year we'll drink Amarone. It's great.
All right,
and then Ripassos. We'll drink Ripasso and Amarone to see the difference. Anyways, now I'm melanging my way into a different.
Should I write that down? Are we going to forget?
No, I'm going to forget, but then somebody will remind us. Okay, so that Amaro little dissertation brings me to Fernet Branca, which is a Amaro that tends to be stronger. It's from Milan. And it was created in 1845 by Bernardino Branca.
Bernardino Branca.
Nice. You said it actually really well. Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me. I
Now,
just liked it.
There's Fernet Branca, and then there's also the Branca Menta. So for some people, if they're just going to have it as a digestivo or as an amaro after dinner, this might be a bit strong for them. But if they feel like they want to get to the Fernet world, I would say start with the Fernet or the Branca Menta, which is a mint-flavored.
That's what menta is.
Yeah,
okay.
it's mint. Now, for me, the Branca Menta, I call it Italian Robitussin because I love it.
It's not 100% clear if you mean that disparagingly or if it has a purpose when you're sick and can
when
help
I'm
you.
feeling a little under the weather, I will have some of that.
It's a big bottle, and it's more than half done. So you've clearly dipped into the menta.
This is my second bottle. I bought this when I was in Italy because we didn't have it at the time in Canada where I could purchase it. So I bought 2 big bottles. I'm going to let you try the Fernet Branca
in its purest form,
and then I'm going to let you try Branca Menta. But this is not the cocktail we're making. And I'm just putting it in that little
glass. I love this. I don't know how to take a picture of this and show the size of this thing. But
you know what? I'll take a picture of it in your hand.
Yeah.
How about that? So
might
first
not
of all,
this already smells minty.
There is mint.
Right?
Cardamom is in there.
Okay.
Gentian, peppermint.
Peppermint I'm getting big time.
Okay.
And this is not the menta one.
No, this is not the menta one.
Isn't that interesting?
Okay, so you always come out so good in these photos.
Oh, wow. Thank you. All right, I'm going to...
All right. Okay, so that's the...
It's terrific. It does feel like it has medicinal qualities.
A lot of these were made in monasteries and pharmacies prior to it being something that people drank as a liquor. It was a digestive. It was something to help you. Now, this is the menta. I really like this. Picture drinking this in the summer.
Yeah.
Or if you... Oh, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. Oh, here.
I have this. Okay, yeah.
I spilt it on his hand. In case you're
I may
wondering.
have spilt it on my own hand,
Okay.
actually. I may give that one to me. Okay. I feel healthier.
39% alcohol.
Oh, this is terrific, man. Menta is amazing.
I love the menta.
Shout out to monks everywhere.
Okay, so now I know what to get you next Christmas. When's your birthday? September?
That's going to be,
All right,
gonna be
I'll try to remember. Someone to remind me in September.
That is going to be forgotten.
In
This
Argentina,
is great.
Bolivia, and Uruguay, they'll mix Fernet with cola. So Fernet and Coke.
That's a drink just like that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's their thing, man. So good for them. All right, but today, and I didn't mean that in a shitty
came
way.
off that way, yeah.
Okay.
Good for them. Do whatever you want to do, you weirdos.
Okay. Shall I tell you about the cocktail, or do you want to talk about my purple sack?
The bag that you are referring to is the one that people will know from the Crown Royal, and so may he rest in peace. Vinnie Paul was the drummer of Pantera.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I had the chance to visit his home many years ago, and he had a swimming pool shaped exactly like a Crown Royal bottle. And so you notice there's this cursive writing. Crown Royal is written in cursive in the bottom of the pool. So the lights would come on and give the pool a purple hue, like the bag. And the cursive writing here, instead of saying Crown Royal, it said property of Vinnie Paul.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
It was the most creative pool I've ever seen, and it was like a memory I'll never forget.
And where was that? Like in California?
In Dallas.
Oh, in Dallas.
Yeah.
Amazing. For those of you who aren't aware, Crown Royal is a Canadian whiskey made from rye.
Well, that was the other thing. I'm in Dallas, and I'm like, hey, that's our stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, he's taken a liking to, although, I mean, it's available internationally, and he probably didn't even know it was Canadian, but I had my moment of national pride in that moment, yeah.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should. Where do you stand on Crown Royal as a Canadian whiskey, or a rye whiskey, or a rye as we often call it here in Canada?
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite.
But reasonable.
Okay. What's
You
your
know?
favorite?
I like Wisers. If we're in this category, of something I'm mixing, typically not drinking it straight, I feel like Wisers is just the smoothest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love a Copper Creek.
Oh, yeah?
Copper Creek, based out of Niagara Falls, an inexpensive rye. When you're looking at ryes, I think they do a fantastic job.
Right.
So,
Right.
But today we're using Crown Royal for my purple sack. All right. So what are we going to make? I thought it was only just that we make the cocktail named after the city in which we record. We're making the Toronto cocktail, or Toronto cocktail. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I thought you were just making that up on the spot right now. I was waiting for a punchline.
No, buddy. There is a thing? There is a thing, and it is a wonderful thing. It came to be in the 1920s. So it is the origins of this cocktail are a little bit murky. There's sort of two theories that I want to say in the publication of Cocktails and How to Mix Them, Robert Vermeer says that the Fernet cocktail and notes that this cocktail, and I quote, this cocktail is much appreciated by Canadians of Toronto.
Who is Robert Vermeer?
Who the hell cares?
Some guy on Twitter? Or?
So he supposedly it was made. The lore is that this was made during Prohibition in Toronto, and so that it wasn't a cocktail that could have happened in Toronto, but rather it was one that was made in the UK, and Canadians who visited liked it. I'm going to call bullshit on that, and I'm going to set the record straight, okay? Here's the other theory.
Somebody not afraid to say the things that matter here.
Yeah. And you've heard it from the horse's mouth here, okay? So it originated in Toronto. I'm going to go with that. And it was during pre-Prohibition, so circa 1916, when the city saw an influx of Italian immigrants, or the Italian population was on the rise.
Ugh, am I right?
Yeah. They would have brought Fernet Branca with them. And because of the whiskey that was made in the distillery district, Garum and Worts, they were mixing the two together. And thus the Toronto cocktail was born, and I take pride in saying that it was
a melange right there, my friend. That is a melange. That's a mixture of the dominant culture of the time and new immigrants, and that's beautiful. That's a great early story of food, combining and what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
It's an early fusion of culture.
That's the lore that I want to set forward as the truth.
Oh, that may not also be true. Okay. That's another. Okay,
there's theories one way or the other, but that's the one I'm going to go with.
The debate rages on.
No, I'm settling the debate. As an Italian Canadian, I'm claiming it as my own. Okay.
It rages on. Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. We should definitely end it here.
All right, so here's this cocktail, right? And I haven't tried it, but it looks phenomenal in my opinion. So 2 ounces.
We're trying it together for the first time?
Yeah, you can find this in select bars in Toronto, but no, it's interesting. The Toronto cocktail, and you don't find it everywhere. You would think that's me. The cap of the whiskey
Classic
bottle.
Marco, dropping something early. This time it wasn't booze, it was just the cap of
It was just
booze.
the cap. Okay.
Now, so when you're ordering this in Toronto, you say, I'll have the Toronto?
You can say the Toronto cocktail. I think Toronto cocktail is how it's going to be better.
Okay.
Better known. Okay, so that's 2 ounces of our Crown Royal or Canadian whiskey. Find the one you like. 1 ounce of Fernet. Oh, sorry. Let me correct that. A 1/4 ounce of Fernet.
Yeah, I would hope so.
If you use an
2
ounce.
to 1 is
oh,
crazy
man,
for
people
this.
are like, what is this? So a 1/4 ounce. So that's not very much, a 1/4 ounce.
Right, but as I just discovered, very strong flavor anyway. I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
A 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. You could use sugar. I like to use simple syrup because it just mixes better. You could also use a gum syrup. I'm going to talk about gum syrup on a future episode.
There's another thing we're going to forget about, but, I'm going to write these things down. I'm going to write these things down.
The beautiful thing about cocktails and food, like you said in like episode 1 or 2, it's never ending.
Yeah.
So here we go. I bought it. I have it in my hand.
Angostura bitters, ladies and
bitter.
gentlemen.
I only need 2 dashes, but I got this because I'm like, I'm not going to mess up the Toronto cocktail. All right. 2.
Finally, taking some pride in your work over here. I was wondering when you'd take this job seriously.
And now it's time to stir it.
Yeah. So there's no shaking happening.
Not in this one.
Okay.
Not in the 1920s. They didn't have time for that.
Last week you stirred 60 times. You needed 60 rotations of the wrist, which I thought was fairly obnoxious.
I'm going to say...
What are we going for today?
42 parallel, right? 42 times. There you go.
How Canadian. How Canadian.
All right.
All right.
So... And before you drink it like a heathen, let me put the orange slice in it, all right, or the orange peel.
Heathen, right. I love it.
All right.
So let me take a picture of you, pouring this other one right here. Yeah. There you go.
And do you want some ice in your glass?
Sure, I do.
Okay.
It's a Toronto cocktail. I live in Toronto now. Let me drink it the way I want it.
You drink it the way that you do you, my friend. All right. And now a little bit of orange peel.
This is, what kind of glasses are these?
These are like antique glasses that my wife inherited. So I'm making all our cocktails with these just because they look pretty And if you have this china or these cocktail glasses that you never use, please, I implore you, grab them, make a beautiful cocktail for your friend like I am with Ali. Little bit of orange wedge in there. Once again, you kind of squeeze the wedge so that the alcohol from the citrus goes into the glass. Toronto cocktail, how do you feel?
Terrific. It's an absolutely delicious drink.
It's on par with the Manhattans, like it's in the Manhattan world. Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is wonderful.
It really is wonderful.
Oh, this is a great drink.
Do you see what happens when you take your job seriously, Marco? Do you see what can happen?
I like this drink a lot. I like it. You know what? For me, the simple syrup, that little bit of sweetness with the rye. Some recipes, some older recipes of the Toronto cocktail use cognac in place of rye. I say that's wrong because at that point it's no longer Canadian. So how can you call it Toronto cocktail?
Sure.
But this is wonderful.
My feeling is that that simple syrup offsets the medicinal taste that you alluded to so indiscreetly when you called the Fernet Branca, like Robitussin.
Yes.
I don't get that flavor anymore.
Okay.
And I think it's a simple syrup.
I'm going to say it's also the Angostura bitters.
Oh, sure it is.
Because Angostura bitters are giving us a bit of an orange flavor, right?
Yeah.
And although there is an Angostura orange, this is just the classic Angostura bitter. I want to thank you for staying with me during my whole dissertation of the history of Amaros.
What a spiel, huh?
But
your TED Talk is ready. If they ever call upon you, you are ready, sir.
I melanged my way there. That's all I'm going to say. So, hey, listen, I'm glad you're enjoying this cocktail.
Yes.
I'm going to say I like it better than Hanky Panky, which we made last week.
I do too. Yeah. Last week I was in a good. We were both hungover last week, and I don't think I was ready. I think I needed to Bloody Mary or Bloody Caesar my way into my day, and I think that was just too strong.
It was the Hanky Panky is a strong drink. This is a strong drink too, but this feels more like a Manhattan or an old fashioned. I should say it's a beautiful sipping drink.
I feel classy.
You don't look it, but
no, and neither does Toronto look as classy as this drink. Toronto has its, it's all over the map. You can get everything in Toronto. Yeah. Class, and then what is the opposite of class?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. That noise.
Yeah,
that noise says it all. But this is the best of Toronto in this class.
And there you go.
I like it.
All right. Thank you, Ali. That made me feel very good. That made me feel good that you like this cocktail.
That's great. It's good to say, this show usually ends on a low for you in terms of, just self-esteem and just general demeanor. So I'm just very happy that you begin on this.
This is my high point right now, folks. Right?
Always remember this. Always remember. When you're blindfolded in 20 minutes from now and angry, remember that you had your time. And it was great.
At 17 minutes. Okay. All right, let's go to your segment.
All right. Okay, I don't know if you're prepared for this, but you are going to see some Ali Hassan passion right now, okay?
I don't know if this room's big enough.
Yeah. I mean, this is... Like yourself, I think you and I both have this thing where we see sometimes beauty in simplicity.
Yes.
When something can be simple and yet so incredible and offer so much potential, it's an exciting time to be alive,
Without a doubt.
This is the ingredient that I'm showcasing today. Is the tomatillo.
Oh.
Now, the reason I was going to say I'm going to get passionate is because you would be a fool to refer to this only as a green tomato or an unripe tomato. Both of those are inaccurate.
Okay, so just to take...
What is it now,
No,
Marco?
I just want to put a fine point on this because the tomatillo looks like a tomato, like a small tomato, right?
Yeah. I mean, you find tomatoes in that size as well.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But I don't want to continue without mentioning that it's often covered in a papery
husk, buddy. I'm going to get to the husk.
Okay,
absolutely.
Take it away. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, first of all, there's something fun about the word. Just the word tomatillo makes you sound like you're fluent in Spanish. If that was even the only word you'd know, and somebody said something to you and you said tomatillo, then you're like, hablas español.
Sí.
And then you'd be like, I got to get out of here.
And just to point that out, tomatillo has two L's that gives it that y sound. It's not tomatillo, Leo, or whatever you want to call it.
Senior linguist is in session.
I said 4 years of university. I got to use it somewhere. Okay.
The other reason not to compare this to a tomato is because it's an ancient delicacy. This is coming from the Mayans and the Aztecs' time. And I know right now people are like, yeah, but those people are dead. Maybe the tomatillo killed them. Don't be an asshole. That's not what happened at all.
But are they dead? I feel like they're not. I feel like there are
When
the
was the
people...
last time you met a Mayan? It's been a while.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Listen, I feel like I feel like there's people who claim their Mayan roots or their
They have
Aztec
those roots, yeah.
and I'm going to say
Yeah.
more power to you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a fatalist like my colleague over here, my co-host, Ali.
What a nice attitude you're bringing to it. But these are brought to you by the people who brought you chilies and chocolate and honey. You know what I mean? This is one of the ancient delicacies, and the reason that it's called the tomatillo when in fact it should have a completely different name is because it was the Aztecs called it the mil tomate. I don't know how to pronounce that. Can't really find somebody to tell me exactly how it's pronounced.
Sure.
But mil tomate, but it looks like mil tomate. But it's mil tomate, and then the Spanish, they found tomatoes, and there was a similarity, so then there was tomatillo. So the Spanish conquistadors screwed this all up.
They screwed up so much.
No.
Those conquistadors, man.
First all the extermination of populations, then the tomatillo.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But this thing also shouldn't be compared to a tomato because it has a whole different flavor profile. It has a tartness and a citrusy flavor, so it has a lime flavor. So when you add lime, it's also herbaceous. So when you add herbs and lime to it, it really, really lights it up. So the first thing that comes to mind when people think of tomatillo is if they know this fruit at all, they will think salsa verde,
Right?
A green salsa.
Yes.
But
It's almost like an amplificator of whatever you put with it, that being lime or herbs. Is that fair to say?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. So you really don't need that much to light it up. Here in this salsa, I have garlic, I have lime juice, and I have some herbs, and that's it. And then I make this habanero sauce, this pepper sauce. I added a little bit of that. You can put jalapeno in there, so it doesn't have the same sweetness. So if you're looking for sweetness, you may want to stay in the tomato world, but tomatillos have something else, this whole other flavor.
Yeah.
And as you said, they come in a husk. If you're lucky enough to find them fresh, great. Put them in a salad, take off the husk, cut them, eat them fresh like that. Most people will get them year-round canned. And so now, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah,
you can,
for sure.
Because it doesn't end at salsa verde. This is something... You can put this in curries. Any place you use a tomato, try
tomatillo. Yeah.
So if you make let's say a chana masala, for example, which we will do on this episode. I promise you. People,
Not this episode, but on this podcast.
On this show is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Exactly. Yeah. That would be weird. I just start cooking.
When we talk husks, I want to make sure that people are clear that it's not like a corn husk. Rather, it's kind of like, have you ever seen a gooseberry?
Ground cherries or gooseberries, exactly.
That kind of papery husk that kind of covers it, almost like an Asian lantern, let's say.
Yeah.
So
sure.
the fruit is covered in that beautiful husk, and then you peel it back, and it's this beautiful tomato-looking, not tomato-tasting fruit that is versatile, in particular when we're dealing with Latin American dishes. Is that fair to say?
It is very fair to say, and if you can find it in the husk, there is a beauty in that too, right? Your food comes sort of like lightly, delicately protected, right?
And I can see how people would think, "Oh, it's a tomato," and then they pop it in their mouth. It's like it's not a tomato. It's its own. It's its own thing.
It's its own thing. So it's weird that I'm saying just use it where you use a tomato, but you have a different flavor profile when you do. So you can use it in curries, as I was saying, chana masala. Anywhere that you braise meat and you might use tomatoes, use tomatillos instead. A Thai curry, a Thai green curry. This is green. Get it green throughout. Get this thing in there. If you eat, getting back to Mexican food, if you eat, huevos rancheros, chilaquiles, enchiladas, any place that you have a sauce on it, a green tomatillo sauce is so great.
I would argue that the tomatillo pairs better with salsa fresca, sour cream, than the tomato does.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I don't know if you were up for an argument, like a real argument, because you said I would argue that. Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you.
Fair enough.
Sorry, you're going to have to look elsewhere for your argument. Any place you use a chimichurri sauce, which is a completely different animal, the parsley and the chili flakes, you could use this as well. So with steak or with chicken or fish, a little bit more than a garnish, almost as a side condiment. This goes great there. Last week I made chicken tinga tostados.
Yes,
you can make tinga with a green sauce as well.
Oh, there you go.
So that would be the flavor of this with. What the thing has the chipotle peppers.
Yes.
And that would also go very, very well. Chicken soup, pozole, a chicken tomatillo soup is amazing.
Wow.
And I also found online a Bloody Mary mix using tomatillo.
Yes.
And it's a company called Toma. They make. Are you threatened by this? Can I talk about?
No,
drink
of course,
makers?
no. Please, I would love it if you talked about drinks.
Imagine you were like, nobody talks about drinks but me.
No.
Toma is a maker like we both of us have talked about Walters.
Yes.
They make this Bloody Caesar mix. So I don't know if that's available in the U.S. Because it's Bloody Caesar, and that's not really a known product in the U.S. But Bloody Caesar is fantastic. So Walters does that. So Toma is similar to Walters, where they make different Bloody Mary cocktail mixes. That's what they specialize in. So one of them is with the Tomatillo, and it looks amazing. And
I'm going to endeavor to make the Bloody Caesar next week. On next week's episode, because I keep talking about it, and there's just a lot of ingredients that I got to get together for it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to endeavor to get it next week. So if you're like listening and you're in the U.S. and you're like, well, they keep talking about this elusive cocktail. What is it?
Yeah.
Stay tuned, my friends. It will appear.
Yeah. And be open-minded. Don't be like, no horseradish. This guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be that guy.
No, don't be that guy. Okay.
Why don't you try some of this
right.
Tomatillo Salsa, which I'm so darn proud of.
Oh, okay. So just to review, I just want to say this. Well, the thing I always love about tomatillos is it always looks fresh. Like it always there's something about the seeds and the color. There's something about it that looks so vibrant and fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me say this: there's going to be some crunching. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to try to avoid crunching, but tell us more while I crunch.
So, I told you when I was in Chicago, I was in this Latin food court and food court immediate. It's great.
I'm going to stop. This is perfect.
Yeah.
This is a perfect tasting salsa.
Thank you. The recipe will be online so that your mouth too can water like Marco's is right now.
It's clean, and it's crisp, and it's pure, and you taste. It's not over acidic, but you taste the lime. It's not killing my palate with spice, but there's a bit of that hint. There's a freshness to this that you don't get with a tomato salsa. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I think also the reason I wanted to make this into salsa, I could have put this in something else as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel, I was telling you about this Latin food court, I was just re-inspired. You know, I'm like a marketer's wet dream. If I eat Vietnamese food or I see something Vietnamese, all of a sudden I'm all in on Vietnamese food for like weeks. Well, Latinicity in Chicago inspired me to rediscover something that I'm always, flirting with anyway. But there are just the habanero salsa. I made a habanero salsa, so a little bit like peppers and then red peppers and chunks of mango. I made a pineapple and cucumber salsa that was so fresh, very little spice in that. I made this tomatillo salsa. I made a very spicy tomato salsa. I'm just like,
wow.
I think a lot of people need to go away in January.
Sure.
And be away from the Canadian or Northern American cold or away from their life.
Yeah.
I really felt like doing the deep dive into Mexican food felt like an escape to me. So we've had people over in the last few weeks, and it's just Mexican-themed food all over the place.
Amazing. So that trip invigorated you back to these Mexicans. I want to say this. If you make this salsa, you'll know what the color green tastes like.
Yeah.
Because I often talk about that when I'm like doing What's in Marco's Mouth. I'll say out loud the color that it tastes like so I can sort of get to or try to get to where I think it is. This is what green tastes like to me. And you've got the herbs that are green, you've got the lime that's green, and you've got the tomatillo that's green. And to me, this is what green tastes like.
It's great.
Yeah.
You too can taste the green.
Yeah.
Visit our website.
It's not easy being green, but it's going to taste wonderful. Green. I'll say that. I don't know how well it pairs with the Toronto cocktail.
I don't know either, but that's not going to stop me from drinking the Toronto cocktail.
Very
but I think, like myself, you appreciate anything that comes with a story.
Oh, without a doubt.
Where some people are like, just fucking eat it.
Yeah.
But something about the Toronto cocktail story and the idea of Italian immigrants coming in and having an influence on this drink.
For me, the story of the Aztecs and the Mayans, and this is an ancient fruit, and how versatile it is, and how it's amplified in the variety of dishes, and how this particular food item really transcends cultures because it can be used in so many different ways in different cultures' cuisine. So for me, that's the beauty of the tomatillo.
Absolutely. People say you eat with your eyes, and I've always believed that, but there's a mental aspect. I don't know if you eat with your mind is something that is going to catch on as a saying.
Probably not.
But probably not. Not with that attitude. It's not, Marco.
Fair.
But having a backstory on something I don't know, it just lends to, all of a sudden, it's like using the right glass and getting a little bit more of the scent of something before you know?
I'm on that page. Listen, you could cram mac and cheese in your mouth with no story and eat that all day and just use it to live, or you could really live and enjoy the stories that comes along with food and drink.
Would you still be eating mac and cheese in that anecdote?
You know what I would do? I would put a little bit of this on the side of my mac and cheese.
That's good. That's good. And when he's saying this, he's not pointing at the Toronto cocktail. He's pointing at the Tomatillo Salsa. I would just pour whiskey on my mac and cheese.
Listen, if you want to make it good. This is fantastic. And it's so fantastic that I regret going into our next segment, which for me is not fantastic.
Well, some of us love it. I'm probably on top of that list, but I feel that there's more people coming along. You know, it's 2019. It's a new year. It's a time to put a blindfold on your friend and put something in his mouth.
What's in Marco's mouth? That's right. What's in Marco's mouth? It's nothing dirty. Willie guessing, Willie messing. Let's find out. What's in Marco's mouth?
Okay, I'm going to try to be more positive because I always approach this segment with a very negative feeling because I feel it sets me up for failure, and people have high hopes that I'm going to get it right, as do I, and I often get it wrong. So I'm going to try to just be positive. I'm looking forward to this. Are you putting it in my hand or directly in my mouth?
Just be positive for a second.
Okay.
Will you? I'm going to put it right in your mouth, and there's a reason for that, and I can't tell you what that reason is.
Fair enough.
Because that might give it away.
May I ask how many ingredients I'm trying to identify in this?
I'm going to say 3 ingredients.
Okay, good.
Okay. Now, what is the best way to do this? I think I literally just have to put it in your mouth. There's no other way around it.
Oh, my God.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know, it's called What's in Marco's Mouth, so I'm not sure why this comes as a surprise to either of us.
Can I just ask, how big is it going to be? Because sometimes I'm surprised by you put a pierogi in my mouth one time and I thought I was going to die. So it was like you put a turtle in my mouth.
This is the size of a third of a pierogi.
Okay.
But open wide. It's still fairly large. Yeah, here you go. And this one's not setting you up to fail, by the way.
This is an olive. This is... Okay. Oh, wait. Okay.
Remember what I said. Remember what I said.
It's an olive. It's a big olive, the size of your thumb olive. And in the center is not a pit, but rather something crunchy, almost like a Gibson olive.
An olive?
Sorry, Gibson onion. It would be an olive stuffed with an olive. It would be great.
It's radical, man.
Okay. 3 items. Okay. So we've got an olive. It's a green olive. And inside is a pickled. It can't just be a pimento. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. Can I have another one?
You can have another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Feels like you're enjoying it.
I don't mind it. Am I opening my mouth or are you putting it in my hand now?
Open your mouth. You can open your mouth. You don't put it in your hand.
Your hands were all over my face.
It's part of the joy. Okay. Thought you were going to be positive.
Okay. It's got to be an onion, a pearl onion. What's the third ingredient, though? Okay, the last one. Can you put it in my hand? Because I just want to.
You're going to be so angry at me if I put it in your hand.
Okay.
So you got olive. I got
olive. It's a green olive.
It is pickled in oil.
Yeah. Okay, so oil is the third ingredient?
No, oil is not the ingredient. What I mean is your hands are going to be so oily that it's going to make positive Marco is going to die right there. He's going to be so angry with the oily hand.
Okay, last one.
And I'll tell you, honestly, having it in your hand is not going to help.
Okay, I just want the center taken out. Are you able to take the center out and give it to me, or is that cheating?
Son of a bitch. All right, I'll take the center out.
Paws are all over this. This is so gross. Okay. Did you wash your hands?
I washed my hands, buddy. I'm a lifetime in the restaurant industry. I'm overwashing, if anything. All right.
Oh.
There you go. Okay, I really touched your lips on that one. Jeez. That one made me a little uncomfortable.
Isolating the flavor?
Yeah. It's 2 things. I put them both in 2 different sides of your mouth. I mean, I don't know what more you want from me, Marco. I'm helping you.
One's an onion. One's a pearl onion. And the other one is... I'm going to say pimento. And I'm going to take my blindfold off.
And I'm going to say I've never been more disappointed.
Oh, no.
Garlic and jalapeno. Ingredients: green olives, garlic, jalapeno.
Oh man, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm right. Am I right?
You're
I
right.
am
Yeah,
right,
the
man. Because
flavor
that's
is-
what it says right here, and I trust.
But now that you say it, I can taste it. I'm such an idiot.
Garlic.
Okay.
You're Italian, for God's sake.
Okay. I did say pearl onion. I mean,
There's no onion. There's
I
no
know,
onion.
I know.
What you said. Oh, Marco. I mean, I come here trying to make your life easy. I think about these things.
I just need to say jalapeno every time because there's always jalapeno in everything
What
you
was
give me.
last week? What did we do?
You did the Japanese edamame.
It had jalapeno.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it did. That's right.
Yeah. There's jalapeno in everything. I'm just gonna say jalapeno. It's like, oh, it's a jalapeno. Oh man.
3 ingredients.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Like, what can I say? I got it wrong.
You're being very positive. Good for you.
I'm trying to be more positive. Thank you for that. If you have a suggestion for what's in my mouth, please email us at podcasteatdrink@gmail.com.
But the subject line cannot reveal anything and say what's in Marco's mouth. We call it WIMM.
Yes.
For
whim.
short. You want to
Whim.
say whim? You can say whim.
Yeah.
You could write that. You could use our shorthand if you
Yeah.
like. Important that Marco doesn't see that email. So make sure in the
Yeah.
subject line, not for Marco's
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Where'd you get that?
That's from Montreal, actually.
Well, had you given me that clue, I would have figured it out.
Marco, you're flailing now. You're doing the equivalent.
By
of
God, it
flailing.
was a green. For the record, it was a green olive. That's
You
all
got
I'll
that.
say. That
You got-
one
I mean,
of the
man,
three.
We
So,
haven't gotten olive. What are we even doing here? You know?
do you prefer olives with the pit or no pit? Here's the thing. The reason I ask this is this: if you're ever in Italy, so here's a cautionary tale for anyone listening.
Oh, yeah.
If
I
you're
know
ever,
what this tale is.
Okay. If you're ever in Italy and you have olive bread, which is very prevalent, especially in the southern part of Italy, if you're in Puglia, which is the heel, if you look at Italy like a boot, and they serve you olive bread, don't crack your tooth. Realize that those olives will have the pit in it because that's the way that many Europeans feel you should be eating olives. It's the freshest way rather than to de-pit it or debone the olive to keep it as it is.
There is a restaurant, Macchiato? No, that's not right. It's in that space. Anyway, I'll get that name because they're great. But on their pizza, they have olives with the pits in it. And on the menu, it's written as small as you can imagine.
Right.
Our pizzas are not cut and the olives are not pitted. But if you don't know that, you're mid-conversation with somebody having the time of your life, you could have a tooth just crack in half.
Oh, yeah. When I was a tour guide in Italy, we were often sort of told, listen, remind the guests that the olives will have pits. So I'd say, folks, I just want to let you know, if you see an olive, there's a pit in it. I don't care if it's in your bread, on your pizza, in your ice cream, there's going to be a pit in that olive. Deal with it.
The bread is actually particularly insidious because at least on a pizza you see it there. In the bread, people just you picture a tourist going to Italy going, oh, I love this bread, and then oh my God.
And I have to say, I side with the Europeans on this point.
Of course you
because
do.
here's the thing.
Of course you would.
Well, listen.
You would.
Where do you stand on the pit issue? Because here's the thing. We live in a society where everything has to be, deboned, like it can't look like the animal that it was, and we can't not that olives have bones or that they're an animal.
He thinks olives were an animal. This is embarrassing.
But we're so like everything. The cherries have to be pitted. Everything has to be so easy for us to eat, and that's not the way the food item comes. And it should not come to the table like that.
I'm 100% on your side.
In this case here, this is what makes the olive special because they're big olives and you pit it and you stuff it with something else.
You took out the pit and you replaced it with something more delicious than the pit. Now we're talking, right? There's no laziness. There's extra work, if anything.
What do you look for with olive oil just before we go? Since we're on the olive top, we should have an olive. We should have.
Let's just dedicate it.
Because it's too complex to get into. Because olive oil.
I can make a tapenade of some kind, and then I can put something completely different in your mouth that you will again fail to recognize.
But for me, olive oil is very important.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about olive oil. Not right now, but we need to talk about olive oil.
Now, if we did eat and drink, Would your drink be olive oil?
Oh, I could put olive oil in a cocktail. In fact, I had a beautiful beet cocktail years ago that was.
Did you say beet cocktail?
Beetroot.
Okay, yeah.
Beet cocktail. I'm very self-conscious of the way I speak now.
No. What I meant was I thought it was something like a beet cocktail. You're on the beat.
No.
I thought it was a way of. I thought it was a description of the types of cocktails.
No, it's a beet.
I've never heard of a
beetroot cocktail, and it had olive oil floating on top, and it was it's out of this world. So I'll look for cocktails that have olive oil when we do the olive oil episode, and we'll talk about it because a fine olive oil. You should, if you're going to spend money in your culinary adventures, get yourself a good quality olive oil. And I want to say this as an Italian in particular. Be careful because Italians will fuck you with their olive oil. They'll send olive oil here that they say is extra virgin, and it's lamp fuel. It's not olive oil. So here's what I would recommend. If you don't know the source of the olive oil, look for California olive oil and olive oil from Israel. They, generally speaking, they don't fuck you over. They give you a high quality of olive oil. What they say is the olive oil will be the olive oil. I'm going to say, as an Italian, I'm embarrassed that Italians, and they do this, they'll send the poor quality olive oil here or olive oil that's been cut with safflower oil and call it pure extra virgin olive oil when it's anything but. That's all I'm going to say.
If you're wondering why I've been smiling the entire time you're talking, it's because my friend Frank Spadone, I don't know if you know Frank.
I love Frank.
He has that joke where his mother goes, "Be careful of these girls. They're like the olive oil." Ma, what do you mean like that? They say they're extra virgin, but they've been pressed a few times. You know, I could not get that out of my head the entire time while you were like, "They will fuck you." While I'm smiling, and I thought you might be like, "What is wrong with this lunatic? This is not funny." I'm very serious.
Yeah, I'm serious about all.
Well, that's a great tip.
All right, we'll do an episode on that. I'm giving you a little preview with my rant, okay? Because
Pasión, amor.
Yes,
you have it. Good stuff. All right. Well, so far, all I've really taken note of is that there's going to be gum syrup. In our
gum
future,
syrup. Yep, gum
and olive oil episode. We mentioned 3 other things we're going to talk about.
Caesars. Hopefully next week.
Caesars.
Bloody
week.
Caesars. Yeah. Not the Caesar salad, the Bloody Caesar, which is a cocktail.
Which is a good cocktail. That everybody should know about. It's a crime that more people don't.
It is a crime because you know what? They often go to the lesser cocktail, which is the Bloody Mary. Which I think
it the lesser. This is great. We got to save this.
Listen, to me, it's a garbage cocktail, and I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to just leave that hot potato on the
hot words. Leave it with some heat. All right. I've been Ali Hassan, and that is Marco Timpano. Until we eat again.
We hope you got your fill of Eat and Drink with Ali Hassan and Marco Timpano. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast Eat Drink. Email them your cocktail and food suggestions to podcasteatdrink@gmail.com. Until the next episode, bottoms up.